Why are they knocking Larry King? That is awful. With us now, let's bring in Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. Governor, great to have you here. Some Democrats are saying that a surge of confidence for the GOP is a throwback, not a comeback. Explain.
Well, first of all, I think you can't read very much into the election results. Governor's races are pretty much always determined by the personalities themselves who are running. They're leadership positions, and people look to executive qualities. And when you have an incumbent like John Corzine, people
Governor, you're smarter than this, baby. You're whistling past the graveyard. Let's reset here. Now, Governor, you're whistling past the graveyard.
You're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. John Corzine did things that I think were important for New Jersey, but they were unpopular. That's why he lost. It didn't have anything to do with national trends. McConnell won in Virginia because he was a good candidate. Simple as that. And I think to draw conclusions from that, or any conclusions you can draw for 2010, is silly. Absolutely silly.
Barack Obama flew up to Newark and Camden the Sunday before the Tuesday election and said, I've got to have John Corzine. He's critically important to me. And what you saw in New Jersey, what you saw in Virginia, I'll guarantee you, and you know it better than anybody on the planet, you're seeing in Pennsylvania, independents are breaking away from Democrats. They're breaking away from congressional Democrats. They're breaking away from statewide Democrats because the Democratic brand right now is being damaged.
Because we're in the middle of a recession. And when you're in the middle of a recession, every incumbent, Ronald Reagan, you pointed it out yourself earlier, Ronald Reagan got battered in his first year because we're in the middle of a recession. That happens. You tell me what the economy is going to look like next September, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how incumbents, Democrats or Republicans, are going to do.
Well, if you listen to Ben Bernanke, it ain't going to be pretty.
Well, again, that remains to be seen. I see very significant signs of recovery in Pennsylvania, and I see the stimulus beginning to work, beginning to not only save jobs, create jobs. The infrastructure part of the stimulus, Mika, is working. It's going to be a bigger part, I think, of the nation's recovery as we go through the next several months. And I think you're going to see a turnaround. Whether it'll happen fast enough to change the dynamic, who knows? But what are the Republicans offering the country? They're offering the same old people running, the Kasichs, the Lazios, the McCollums, the same people who created the bad situation that we're stuck with.
But Governor,
so, again, I think this is still wide open.
We used to dream about infrastructure as a big picture part of our future, and
I still do.
Is it still?
I still do.
Is it still? I mean, the stimulus money is now, coming under fire for everything from phantom districts that are messed up on the website to it not being used properly. First of all, is it being used properly? And second of all, is there going to be an appetite for and a need for another one?
Well, by and large, the answer is yes, it is being used properly. For example, take Pennsylvania. We have gotten 84% of our road, bridge, and highway money in stimulus under contract. 70% of it, there's work being done already. There's orders going back to Pennsylvania factories to produce the steel, the asphalt, the concrete, the lumber, the electrical supplies that are necessary to do bridges, to do road construction, to do wastewater and water projects. So it's beginning to really ramp up. I think by next spring, it'll continue to ramp up, but we need more infrastructure spending. I think everyone agrees on that.
Governor, as a part of the so-called stimulus program, the infrastructure program was about $150 billion, of which only about $50 or $60 billion has been spent in an economy which has dropped, trillions of dollars. It's such an insignificant step. That was a part of the problem of the stimulus program. And if you look at the so-called jobs that are saved, the Boston Globe and any number of newspapers have made different assessment. Don't you think this is going to be a huge problem for the Democrats in the fall?
Well, let me say, initially, I agree with you. And all governors, we advise the president to make infrastructure a bigger part of the program. And there's no question we can use more money. And I think you will see, either by the upfronting of the reauthorization of ICE-T or some form of second stimulus, you'll see a whole lot more infrastructure spending because it works. It works to produce those jobs on the site and back at the factories.
I just figured something out here. I've been asking myself, because Michael Beschloss and I have been talking about this, about how this president's not focused. He did say that, my words, but that he needs somebody that understands politics really, really well. Just a day in, day out, grind him out politics. They need Ed Rendell in the White House.
That's
do.
right.
Seriously, I'm dead right. They need a practical leader, a guy that understands it's about
Absolutely.
jobs. Governor, for the sake of America, you need to quit your job and go to D.C. and run the White House.
I'm not sure I'd want to live in Washington, John.
Thank you, Governor. It's great to see you.
I remember, Mika, infrastructure.
I remember. Infrastructure.
Only Democrats would say
All right,
infrastructure is a sexy word.
Thank you. Listen.